The OutCasts is an RPG Maker game created by Redwall 10 using the VX engine, and features a rather standard excuse plot. And to be honest, I find myself somewhat frustrated even before I started this review, since I was asked multiple times to pull my Let's Play of the previous version of the game. And my best guess for why I was asked to pull it was because I had pointed out that the game contained spelling issues early on in my Let's Play, before I had even gotten off the title screen. But to be frank, the new enhanced version of the game still contains issues with spelling, grammar, and punctuation, so I'm even less sure what the point of pulling my Let's Play of the previous version of the game was. Especially considering the fact that the previous version of the game is superior to the enhanced version in the only area that truly matters, the gameplay. Story-wise, the game revolves around an excuse plot where the town of Lakewood is being attacked by the forces of the evil nation of Blackrock in order to steal their diamond mines and take the populace as slaves. And considering both versions still keep the rape order, and we can probably safely assume that the women are to be taken as sexual playthings to reward the soldiers of Blackrock for their services. While this certainly makes the forces of Blackrock an evil entity that is deserving of being destroyed, it doesn't add anything to the game in my opinion, since saving the village of Lakewood from being pillaged and the populace being taken as slaves to work the fields and the new diamond mines of the nation of Blackrock should be sufficient cause enough to cut their forces down to size. Though to make matters worse, the new version of the game introduces a brand new plot hole early on in the game, since Zio implies that the nation of Blackrock is merely attacking and systematically raping the women of Lakewood as punishment for failing to pay their taxes on time. A plot point that makes absolutely no sense, since it would imply that Lakewood is a part of the kingdom of Blackrock instead of its own nation, which is implied by the game's intro. In fact, the intro goes so far as to imply that the people of Lakewood didn't even know about the existence of Blackrock, so there's no reason for them to be paying taxes to Blackrock. And as I stated previously, the story is still undercut to a small extent by spelling errors, grammar issues, and punctuation mistakes. While these issues are understandable since Redwall 10 isn't fluent with English, it is made worse by the fact my original Let's Play was repeatedly asked to be pulled in order to cover up these issues. And instead, we have a new version of the game that still has more problems in these areas than you can shake a stick at. Sadly, the transition between the old combat system to the new combat system was a grievous mistake on Redwall 10's part. The old combat system was broken, but it was broken in favor of the player because combat was strictly turn-based, which made Chris's ability to chain attacks completely broken since you could easily land 4 to 6 hits on a boss in a row in order to quickly bring them to their knees. The new combat system is speed-based, which isn't a problem for the regular enemies, but quickly becomes an issue when you get to the later bosses since their agility increases at a far more drastic pace than that of the playable characters. As such, when you get around to Zio, you'll easily be overpowered by his ability to land 2 or 3 attacks on your characters before you even get a chance to respond. And since Zio hits hard enough to easily cut down your party members with 2 blows, he can easily cut the party in half by the time you get a chance to respond. In essence, the combat system is now broken in favor of the bosses, and has now made the game unbeatable. To make matters worse, the game hurts itself by taking away Chris's ability to chain attacks together after you obtain the legendary Holy Sword, an ability that could have saved the game from becoming broken since the player could have countered Zio's high rate of attacks with the ability to land multiple blows on the target at every attack opportunity. Well, I find this loss of an ability perplexing for another reason as well, since you'll lose all of your levels and equipment upon acquiring the Holy Sword. In short, the combat in the previous version of the game was boring because it was too easy, while combat in the new version of the game is needlessly hard and creates a scenario in which the player will need to grind out a good chunk of their skills twice. Graphically speaking, the OutCast feels unnecessarily crowded and open at the same time. A contradiction of terms to be sure, but on the crowded side of things you have places like the mine, which are stuffed to the brim with objects you can't pass over, while on the large side of things you have the world map. To add to the mess, the developer of this game clearly reuses certain maps like the forested path from the sewer exit to the town of Lakewood, and I'm not even sure why the sewer from the prison extends what must be dozens of miles underground in order to bring you all the way back to an area near the start of the game. To make matters worse, the game includes outside locations on the world map that don't match anything found inside of the area, like the castle room near the start of the game is actually a hedge maze. To add another issue, you can also walk over certain characters in the town, but you can't walk underneath signs, and I have no explanation for this. On the plus side, the game does utilize the default graphics and effects that come with RPG Maker VX. On the downside, that just means the sprites and attack animations are average in terms of quality, but this category as a whole is easily made below par because of all the previously mentioned issues. This is probably the only aspect of the game that is successful. But at the same time, this is the area of any game that I tend to care the least about. While a nice soundtrack can help propel a game from great to amazing, it can't really aid a game that has a broken combat system at the heart of its issues. The new enhanced version of the OutCast is ultimately just vastly inferior to the previous version, It makes for a game that's not even worth playing, since it is now unbeatable without a ton of luck. In short, I advise staying away from this version of the game, and recommend tracking down the previous version if it can still be found anywhere, or playing another game like Sword Sister if you're looking for a flawed project that makes for a decent time killer.